So class, today we are going to be reading a new story during our reading time. This book is a book about a mama and her little boys. This was a story that my mama used to read me all the time when I was a little kid. And it's got some animals in it. And that's why we're reading it. We've been talking about animals this week and different types of animals, different things that animals have, like fur or their habitats, where they're at, what they eat, different things. So today we're going to read this story, and it's called A Pocket Full of Kisses. And it's by Audrey Penn, and the pictures are by Barbara Gibson. So as you can see, we've got some animals on the front. Does anybody know what type of animal this is? Okay, it's a raccoon. So we're going to learn about these raccoons today. So a pocket full of kisses. See the trees? Chester Raccoon sat in the hollow of a tree stump and pouted. Please, can we give him back? I'll be really, really good if we can give him back. Well, Chester was pouting. Do we know what pouting is? Okay, it's when you're sad. It could be when you're sad. Okay. So pouting is usually you have a facial expression with it. What might we look like when we pout? Like this. So Chester was pouting. Mrs. Raccoon smiled tenderly. You're already really, really good, Chester. But I'm afraid no matter how good you are, we can't give him back. I thought you liked having a little brother. I did like it at first, admitted Chester, but now he plays with my toys and swings on my swing, and he grabs my tail, and he reads my books, and he talks to my friends and follows me everywhere I go. So Chester's outside talking to his mom. You can see his little brothers on the swing back there. Who's he wanting to give back in a story? That's right, his brother. So Mrs. Raccoon lifted Chester up onto her lap and smoothed his worried, furry forehead. That's what little brothers do, she explained in a very motherly tone. It's no different than sharing the woods, or sharing the stream, or sharing the food that we find to eat. Ronnie just wants to be like you, Chester. Mrs. Raccoon placed Chester on the ground and smiled at him with the soft, loving eyes. He knew so well. I think someone needs a kissing hand, she said in a voice that was warm and inviting. She took Chester's hand in her own, spread open his tiny fingers into a fan. Leaning over, she kissed him right in the middle of his palm. What's a palm? If she's talking about his hand, what's the palm of your hand? It's right, the middle of it. Chester felt the warmth of that kiss rush from his hand, up to his arm, up to his heart. And when he pressed his hand to his cheek, he could hear his mother's words in his head. Mommy loves you, they said. Mommy loves you. Chester grinned so wide, the tips of his silky black mask crinkled upwards. Even his cheeks flushed to a primrose pink. He was the happiest raccoon in the forest. So, when his sadness went away, it said he crinkled up his nose because he became happy. What's crinkled mean? Okay, wrinkles. That's a good way to explain it. Like if I crinkle up my nose, you can see my little crinkles along my face and my forehead. That's crinkles. So he crinkled up his face. Then, in the blink of a moment, all the joy went out of the little raccoon. His pink cheeks paled, so they weren't pink anymore, and a stream of tiny hot tears fell like spring rain down his face. Even his silky black mask drooped as he watched his mother reach down, take Ronnie's hand in her own, and open his tiny little fingers into a fan, and kiss his brother's hand in the middle of his palm. So it says that Chester's face drooped. What might drooped mean? So if he was sad that his mom was kissing his brother's hand, what might drooped mean? You don't know? Drooped means you're hanging low or you're bent. So like his face was drooped. It's more of a facial expression. That was my kissing hand, Chester gasped, in the saddest voice his mother had ever heard. Why did you give Ronnie my kissing hand? Don't you love me anymore? So Chester was all upset that his mother had given his brother a kissing hand too. Oh, Chester, cried Mrs. Raccoon, of course I love you. Then how come you gave the baby my kissing hand? Asked Chester. Mrs. Raccoon gathered Chester up in her arms and gave him a great big comforting hug. I would never give Ronnie your kissing hand, she assured him gently. That was his kissing hand. Now each of you have one of your own. So she gave them both a kissing hand. Chester wiped away his tears and settled in Mother's lap. If you give both of us kissing hands, won't you run out? Mrs. Raccoon laughed. Would you like to hear a story? She asked Chester. About kisses? About stars, said Mrs. Raccoon. Every night, just before the sun goes down, it reaches out with its rays and touches every star in the universe. One by one, the stars light up and shine down upon us. Even on nights we can't see the stars, they're still up there sparkling away. No matter how many stars fill the sky, the sun will never run out of light, and its rays will never stop reaching out to them. That's the way it is with the kissing hands. When somebody loves you, their kisses are like sun's rays. Always there, always shining. No matter how many kissing hands I give you and Ronnie, I will never, ever run out. You can see. But you were right about one thing, Mrs. Raccoon told Chester. Ronnie's big brother widened his eyes and looked surprised. What's that? He asked his mother. You are the big brother, and that deserves something extra special. Mrs. Raccoon put Ronnie on a swing, then took Chester's right hand into hers, spread open his little tiny fingers into a fan. Leaning over, She kissed him right in the middle of his palm. "That kiss is for your pocket," she told Chester. "Take good care of it and keep it as a spare. You never know when a big brother might need a little extra care." So she told Chester that she was giving him a spare kiss. What might spare mean? Spare, a spare tire? Well, kind of. He's getting a spare kiss, so he's getting an extra kiss. Mom has extra, so she's giving him an extra one. So after he got his extra kiss for his pocket, Chester hugged his mother and romped away. "I love you too," he seemed to say. You can see the little hearts. His love. And they lived happily ever after.